Hello everybody, it's Jenn, Scrapbena Creations. Welcome back to another card using the Sweet Succulents by MFT. I'm using the Echo Park Just Be You paper pad and the MFT Wonky stitch die. I've already gone ahead and done my stamping because I needed to do some masking. You can see here I've cut the panel using the wonky stitched rectangle die. So I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers today, and I am very new to these markers. I've only been using them for a few months and I find them challenging. So I'm trying to do a very light watercolor effect for these particular images, and I will list all the colors that I used in the description box below. I find that I tend to be a little bit heavy-handed with these, so I was really trying to use minimal ink and really moving it around with water. So I'm using 3 different greens for the cacti, and I wanted to make sure that they had some dimension, so I tried to keep some of the parts darker for some shading and just to give them some dimension. So I'm really using the colors in the piece of paper that I'm going to be using to kind of drive the colors that I'm using in the scene here that I'm creating. So this is a very pale pink. In fact, I think it's called pale pink, and there is a color very similar to it on one of the pieces of paper, as well as some yellow. So I'm going to do this pot in the yellow, and then I'm going to move to the middle cactus and I'm going to color the flowers on it yellow. So I was trying to balance the yellow and the darker pink between 2 of the images. So once I get this done, I'm going to do some kind of grounding of the images here. So I'm using a light beige color just to have them sitting on something, and then I wanted to use the light blue very sparingly, so I put the marker on a stamp block and then I'm using my water brush to pick up the color. It's very soft and muted, which is the look that I was going for, and it just frames up the images nicely, gives a little bit of color to the background so it isn't white. I am using Bristol Smooth cardstock. I do prefer the Canson XL watercolor paper when I'm using my Zig markers, but I had that out, so I just used it. So I wanted to make sure that this wasn't a stark white, given that I had colored up the panel, so I used a little bit more of the light blue. And then I just used the Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle die to cut out the panel of my card base, and I use pre-made card bases, and for some reason whenever I use that die there's the tiniest little bit left over, so I just had to trim that up. And then I'm going to use a lot of ATG adhesive here because there was a little bit of warping with the water, and I'm going to bring that sentiment in. It says, I didn't mean to hurt you, and I just want to make sure I'm getting the panel in the right place. So because I want it to be straight without warping, I started in the center and then pushed to the sides to make sure that it was adhered flat to the card base. And then I'm going to stick on that little sentiment piece. I had to play around with that a little bit, so I cut some of that out. And on the inside, it just says, I'm so sorry. So I think this is a really pretty sorry card if you ever need one. And to finish off the card, I'm just using my Spectrum Noir glitter brush marker here. Now it does move the color of the zigs, so you'll notice I went from the lightest green to the mid green to the darkest green, just so that I didn't transfer any of the color. So there's the card finished. I hope you enjoyed this card, and I will be back for another card using this stamp set soon. So thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.